We at Fresh Fusion have taken it upon ourselves to relieve you of the stress and work that it takes to achieve a healthy and balanced diet, all while maintaining the safety and confidence of eating in your own home. Our goal is to help you eliminate the guessing and time involved in deciding what to eat on a daily basis. When developing our recipes, we bear in mind that eating nutritionally should also be delicious, enjoyable, and most important, easy. We make it simple for people to eat out. We use only the freshest ingredients from local organic and natural food sources to create your healthy, palate-pleasing meals. Check us out on the web at thefreshfusion.com, phone 954-533-7423 or 954-835-5189. Hours, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Are you tired of feeling tired? Confused by the conflicting health information in the media? Maybe you can't walk into a grocery store without being overwhelmed by product label claims. Living a fast-paced, overstressed life? Are you or your loved ones being diagnosed or labeled with chronic illnesses? Finding balance and health in today's culture is a challenge we all face. Welcome to Quality Living with Leslie, where we debunk the myths, bring clarity to the confusion, and help expand the gap between health and illness. To get in on the show, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to Quality Living with Leslie. I'm Leslie Harrington, and I'm a certified wellness educator and diabetes paraprofessional. What that means is I empower people to be their own advocate, manage their numbers, and really take control of their health so that they can prevent and reverse disease. I want to thank my sponsor for tonight's show, Fresh Fusion Cafe in Kenyette Fincher. And you can find the show tonight on 95.3 FM, 1470 AM, and Quality Living with Leslie on Facebook Live. And if you want to join the conversation, call in at 1-888-565-1470. I will start with the disclaimer that I am not a medical doctor. I do not engage directly nor indirectly in diagnosing disease, dispensing medical advice, or prescribing the use of any products or services as a treatment for sickness or disease. This information is solely for information purposes and for people of normal and good health. The information is not intended to be a substitute for proper medical care and provided by a physician. You should always cooperate with the health professional of your choice with a mutual goal of building personal health. Tonight's show is an interesting topic. It's not the most sexy topic, but it's something that I think is really, really important to address and something that could be very simple to improve quality of life just by the education and awareness, especially with people in the diabetes area who might be taking multiple medications. And the topic is nutrient deficiencies that are caused by different prescription drugs that aren't necessarily advised in the same labeling that you would see on the advertising that you see on TV with the excessive symptoms and side effects and all the things that come with prescription drug medication. So it's bad enough that we have to deal with these types of side effects, but now we're causing a cascade effect inside of our bodies because the very nature of a prescription drug is that it's blocking your body from performing something that's naturally part of your body's system. And in that process, you end up with a whole different internal side effect that happens as a result from different types of nutrient deficiencies. And, you know, I know a lot of people that go on prescription meds initially, and they'll feel tired and they'll feel depressed, and they'll start to have these things that they associate and they basically attribute to the different medications that they might have just started, when in fact it could be very well something other than the medication that they could fix and maybe feel better and actually eat certain foods that can offset some of those deficiencies. So I wonder why we don't question these drugs. A lot of times prescription drugs have a time and a place, and it's really important, especially for people with diabetes. But what happens, in my case, when I had POTS, and I've talked to you about my story, with POTS, I was on a beta blocker and heart medications. I was on various medications for over 5 years. And those beta blockers were really literally blocking, my body's ability to produce CoQ10, which is a major antioxidant in your body. And it's something that I didn't realize that I was taking away from my body's own capacity to nourish itself and to create other functions to flow in a regular pattern. Once you take out one of those things start to fall apart a little bit. So I did that for years. That was happening, and I was having all of these other side effects, plus I had the side effects from my condition, and I just assumed it was normal. It was common, it was normal, and that was just part of what I had. And in fact, when someone told me that I should try magnesium for some of my my magnesium levels were low, it changed my life. It changed my world just to add like one supplement into my plethora of medication. You know, when I was told the rest of your life you're going to be on this medication, I never considered that wasn't necessarily going to be the case. So comorbidities are things that when you have a disease state, often they happen in conjunction with other types of disease states. So diabetes, for example, a lot of people with diabetes might have high blood pressure. They might be dealing with cholesterol issues. They might be working through different types of issues within their body that require them to be on several different types of medication. And it's a standalone disease, but it's also a disease that can happen at the same time as some of these other diseases. So example would be the hypertension, the cholesterol, things like that. I wanted to pull out just a couple of the mainstream drugs that are associated with some of these key diseases, the more common drugs. So with people with diabetes, metformin is probably the highest prescribed type of medication, and it's also known as glucophage, glucophage XR, glucovance. And there's a study that was published in the Archives of Internal Medicine that showed diabetics with metformin had B12 levels that were less than half of those in the control subjects. And the longer the drug had been used, the higher the dose, so the greater the drop in the B12. So why do we need B12? You think, okay, B12. And people probably can associate, B12 injections with feeling energized and feeling better. People get B12 injections. Sometimes some of these clinics are actually offering them. And B12 is actually, it's vital to the creation of your red blood cells. It's vital for your energy. It reduces depression. It aids in cell reproduction, so your hair, your skin, your nails. And when you're dealing with deficiency, you can see many different signs of deficiency. You can have a pale skin color, a rapid heartbeat. Sometimes people, that was one of my signs, for tachycardia was part of POTS. So to me, I just assumed that was normal. Fatigue, weakness, tired, people that get upset stomach and constipation, bruising easily, and memory problems like brain fog, depression, memory loss. Those are all associated symptoms that can be part of vitamin B12 deficiency. So because it's overlapping with some of the different types of side effects you might see on the actual prescription drug, you might end up thinking that it's just something normal and you have to tolerate it because it is what it is, and it will eventually, you get used to it. And that's not really the case. So what I want to do tonight is kind of walk you through not just the drug itself, the deficiency it could potentially be causing in your body, and some of the foods that you might be able to eat to offset those deficiencies, as well as supplements. If you decide that you want to get supplementation, you would look into working with your doctor and getting your levels tested. A lot of doctors currently are already measuring for B12 when they're dealing with metformin, and there's a couple of other key ones that I've talked about that it won't come as a surprise to your doctor. Some other traditional doctors might not be as well versed on these nutritional deficiencies associated with prescription drugs. So B12 sources that you can get from food are primarily come from proteins, right? So you've got your catfish, tuna, salmon, eggs, your grass-fed beef, your free-range chicken. There's a couple dairy products that have good source of B12. And especially people who are vegetarians or vegans and they're not eating a lot of animal protein, this is something they could actually consider looking at themselves. So cardiovascular drugs, that's another thing. People have high blood pressure. High blood pressure is associated with obesity. It's associated with diabetes. It's associated with many other disease states. And there are several different types of different blood pressure medications. I'm going to talk tonight about two of them, the antihypertensives, which are going to be more, they're in the category of antihypertensive, but I'm going to talk about the diuretics, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the beta blockers and calcium channel blockers. Diuretics are the ones that are trying to help escort some excess fluid from the kidneys and from the body and in the salt. So you'll see in today's land doctors will already start to consider the potassium and deficiencies in potassium associated with this diuretic effect. And you're talking about you might have furosemide, Lasix, metolazone, hydrochlorothiazide. Those are some of the common prescription drugs that are diuretics. They often will prescribe potassium as a supplement, which is fantastic because that is one of the first ones that starts to eliminate from your body when you're taking these medications. And the problem with that is that that's not the only one. So you're not only dealing with loss of potassium, you could be dealing with loss of zinc, of magnesium, of many other vital nutrients or minerals in your body. So it's really important to ask your doctor about additional type of minerals that could be lost and either supplementation with them or, again, looking at different food sources to replace those. I'm going to talk about two of the key minerals, probably because magnesium has one of the most impactful. It's doing so many functions in your body that when you're deficient in magnesium, you're causing so many things to fall apart, even just by having that small deficiency. It's actually 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium, and part of that is simply because our soil is just depleted of the minerals that we used to have historically. Magnesium is responsible, like I said, 300 chemical reactions in your body. It helps your body relax. It keeps your energy levels up. It's considered like the stress mineral. And it keeps your vascular system healthy. It keeps your blood flowing properly and the smoothness of your vascular system. And it's very, very, very common for diabetics to have low levels of magnesium. Some of these deficiency signs, you're talking about nausea, anxiety, fatigue, muscle cramps, brain fog, confusion, and then, of course, high blood pressure. Foods rich in magnesium. So I always like to tell people if you're eating really healthy food, you're eating whole, real food, organic, you really can offset some of the potential damage of these medications and even get off of these medications when you start to implement a healthy lifestyle and food practices. So foods rich in magnesium are broccoli, carrots, spinach, apple, avocados, primarily fruits and vegetables. You can get them also from free-range meats and chicken, halibut and salmon, black beans, almonds, cashews, and edamame. I probably should have mentioned you should grab out a notepad tonight because I am going to be giving a lot of little details that you might want to write down as far as specific foods you could try and then the different drugs that we're talking about. So why do we need potassium? Potassium is an electrolyte in your body, and potassium is controlling all of the muscles and the fluid in your kidneys. So it's regulating your kidney function. It's really important that potassium levels are on. I mean, you probably, people think, oh, I got to have a banana before, or people commonly associate muscle cramping with potassium loss. And that is one of the signs of deficiency is that cramping. Often people will faint because of low blood pressure. Heart racing again, you've got that tachycardia, that feeling of trying to get the blood to move from your legs. You have extreme thirst. So if you're feeling like you're thirsty and no matter what you're doing, you're just not able to quench that thirst, that's a sign of potassium. Bloating, tingling in the extremities, nausea, and constipation. Food sources of potassium would include artichokes, Brussels sprouts, potatoes, pumpkins, leafy greens like Swiss chard, spinach, kale, apricots, avocado, banana, tomatoes, fish, clams, tofu, milk, yogurt, beans, and dried peas and lentils. So I'm going to take a break. Our phone number is 888-565-1470, and I will see you on the other side. Please feel free to call in if you have any questions.
Do you believe in the old adage, you are what you eat? If you do, then you understand that the food you eat has an impact on your state of mind, health, and fitness. Your food literally becomes a part of you, a part of your cells. It tells your DNA and genes what to do. We at Fresh Fusion have taken it upon ourselves to relieve you of the stress and work that it takes to achieve a healthy and balanced diet, all while maintaining the safety and confidence of eating in your own home. Our goal is to help you eliminate the guessing and time involved in deciding what to eat on a daily basis. When developing our recipes, we bear in mind that eating nutritionally should also be delicious, enjoyable, and most important, easy. We make it simple for people to eat out. We use only the freshest ingredients from local organic and natural food sources to create your healthy, palate-pleasing meals. Check us out on the web at thefreshfusion.com, phone 954-533-7423 or 954-835-5189. Hours, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
You're watching and listening to Quality Living with Leslie. Overstressed? Looking for balance? Join our conversation, 888-565-1470. Welcome back. So we are talking about nutrient deficiencies that are caused by prescription medication. The manufacturers of these drugs are not required necessarily to advise of some of these deficiencies. And it's interesting because there are some that actually will. If you look up Metformin and you look up, if you Google some of these things I'm reading off to you, you'll find a tremendous amount of research that's associated with these. So much so that I'm surprised that it's not common practice. It's, I think, going in that direction with the right doctors to make sure that these levels are being adjusted and well monitored. So with my situation, I was on a beta blocker, and a beta blocker is something that is, it was used for me in my case was to slow down my heart. It wasn't to lower my I don't see anything. It wasn't to actually lower my blood pressure because my blood pressure was already substantially low. So having that lower blood pressure, and then adding in this beta blocker, it actually exaggerated some of my low blood pressure, slowed down my heart. However, it was interfering with the production of CoQ10. And CoQ10 is it's basically like it's producing the cell's energy factory. So when you're losing that type of energy being sent to your heart, it's actually dangerous in the sense of causing heart failure. So CoQ10 is a very critical piece for us. We need to have that because it's an antioxidant in our body and it's fighting free radicals. So especially in today's world where we're faced with more environmental toxins, we're faced with all kinds of food issues with our food and pesticides and all of the different things that we're exposed to, CoQ10 is a really important thing for our body to have in our body. You want to make sure you research and talk to your doctor about CoQ10. The other thing that a beta blocker can do is it can deplete your melatonin and block the secretion of melatonin. Melatonin, as most of you know, is your sleep hormone. So I was having trouble with sleep. I was having trouble with energy. I was having trouble with all of these things. And I was stressing out about, phone? I have a call? How do I do that? Hi, Dawn, you're on the air.
Hi, Leslie. I have a question for you.
Hi.
So
sorry, I'm like, I have a call.
If I was on these medications in a beta blocker, which is going to change my melatonin so I can't sleep, and I need a CoQ10, and my doctor's a traditionally trained doctor, would you be able to help me if I gave you all my medication list of what I would need as a supplement?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I'm trying to give you the option of food supplement, right? So ideally, you're going to be able to obtain some of these different deficiencies through your diet and nutrition, which comes with, being a diabetic and going in that direction anyway. However, yes, you should be asking your doctor. A lot of doctors, you're absolutely right, are going to be like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Or they might even poo-poo it, right? So, yes, you mean as a coach, would I personally be able to work with you on those? Yeah, absolutely.
So I could call you at find you on your website and say, can you help me because I'm on all these medications and I just need some guidance. Instead of walking
absolutely.
into my supplement store trying to pick them.
Yes, I like to make sure that people have the appropriate questions for their doctor. So part of the coaching for me is teaching them to be their own advocate, to ask the appropriate questions, and to help them assess and find the information they need for that education. So I am there as an educator, and I'm there also to be able to get if we go down the rabbit hole of particular supplements, absolutely, because I'm talking about the potential of supplementing with something, but you don't want to go out and just buy the supplements off the shelf of any old store, because you need to have that quality and you need to make sure that it's from a reputable supplement company.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
I love your show. All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, bye. Okay, that was my first question, first call in. Awesome. So why do we need CoQ10? I started to talk about that. CoQ10 is made naturally in your body, and it's used for your cells for generating energy. It's a powerful antioxidant. It helps to fight free radicals. It causes damage to your cells and your DNA if you do not have enough of this vitamin. It lowers your fatigue and it boosts your stamina. So again, it's producing the energy in your body. So as you can imagine, some of the side effects associated with CoQ10 deficiency is going to be some fatigue and then brain fog. So really good food sources of CoQ10, like I was telling Dawn, it's really important to consider what you're eating, because there's ways that you can balance out some of these deficiencies. And I will guarantee you, if you're on a good diet and nutrition plan, there's a really strong hope and potential that you wouldn't need to be on some of these hypertensive and all of these different types of medications anyway when people participate in a healthy lifestyle. There's a ton of research to support that diabetes. There's ways of reversing that progression. There's ways of bringing down blood pressure. There's different types of lifestyle factors that come into place that can really help offset some of this. But if you are on medication, you're feeling side effects, consider that they might not be simply from the drugs, and that there's things that you can do to feel better immediately and get some sort of relief and not feel like this is just what it is and you have to be stuck with that. So the food sources of CoQ10, you're talking about grass-fed beef, pasture-raised eggs, free-range chicken. Those are your protein sources. You've got strawberries, oranges, herring, rainbow trout, sardines, and mackerel, kind of unique blend of fish there. Sesame seeds, pistachio nuts, and then a couple cruciferous vegetables, which are your broccoli and cauliflower. And I mentioned earlier that we aren't warned. We're not told on the label, oh, be careful when you take this. You should probably supplement with this. It's not warning. And there is actually a lot of argument out there with the FDA requiring that the manufacturers put this on the label as a warning. And in fact, in Health Canada, they are required to put that on the warning. So when you're dealing with beta blockers in Canada, they will actually note that on there. So doing your homework is really, really important. Researching, asking your doctor. Your doctor may not be as well versed in some of these nutrient deficiencies. They're not well versed because the pharmaceutical companies are not necessarily considering the things that are happening in your body other than their side effects that they're required to advise. Cholesterol lowering drugs. So not only people with diabetes are often on these cholesterol drugs, people are getting thrown on cholesterol drugs as a preventative measure all over the place. And there's a lot of controversy around this. There's tons of things that I could tell you to look into if you're considering going on to a cholesterol drug, but I'm going to keep it focused tonight on statins and the different types and why they are also a consideration with depletion of CoQ10. Statins, you're talking Lipitor, anything with a statin basically on the end of it. So atorvastatin, simvastatin, lovastatin. The rosuvastatin is the Crestor, which is one of the newer ones that just went generic. And these also are causing a significant depletion of CoQ10 in the body. And they're out there. I mean, the amount of people on cholesterol medication that don't even have blocked arteries is really significant. The potential side effects are heart failure, muscle pain, weakness, irritability, mood swings, depression, and impotence. The last one I want to talk about is an acid blocker. Again, you don't have to have diabetes to be on an acid blocker, but an acid blocker is actually either, again, causing blocking, right? It's telling your body to stop performing something that it's naturally supposed to do, which in this case is produce acid in the stomach to break down your food. So people with heartburn and GERD and peptic ulcers, sometimes they're thinking that they're having trouble with too much acid in their stomach. So they're taking all of these antacids to try to put the acid out, when in fact, often more than 50% of the time, the population is actually dealing with a too low stomach acid. Our enzymes change as we get older. We're not able to break down the food the same way. So people are popping these acid blockers and they're taking down their stomach acid even smaller, which is causing tremendous amount of nutrient deficiencies because the body can't break down the food that you're putting in. So I know people that eat phenomenal diets and they don't have great stomach acid, so they're not actually experiencing the benefit of those nutrients because they're not actually turning into their cells and absorbing properly. So these H2 blockers actually cause B12 deficiencies in the elderly. Again, often too little acid, and you have to have enough acid to absorb B12. So if you don't have enough stomach acid, then you don't have that ability to absorb the B12 in your body, which leads to a lot of the issues I was speaking about earlier with regard to B12 and the metformin. Lack of acid also inhibits your absorption of zinc, folic acid, and iron. So additional minerals, again, part of the reason that a lot of us need to make sure that we're drinking mineral-rich water, we're eating foods that are coming from quality sources. They're whole-rich foods. They're organic. They're not sprayed with pesticides. A proton pump inhibitor, you might hear a lot, PPI, proton pump inhibitor, which are going to be like your Previcids and some of the purple pills. They're probably the most popular, and they're the most potent. They can actually completely swipe you of your stomach acid. So unfortunately, again, strong interference with your nutrient absorption. So making sure that you're talking to your doctor about that. I'd put on to have you Google the Heidelberg, it's called the Heidelberg Capsule test. And what this is basically, people are more and more taking digestive enzymes, which is helping support the ability of your body to break down food and absorb those nutrients. The Heidelberg Capsule test can basically give you an indication of whether you have too much stomach acid or not enough. And if you Google it, it'll tell you kind of how to do it. It's really simple. It's really inexpensive. It's a hydrochloric acid type supplement that you would take, and you kind of establish how bad your tummy burns from it. If you take it, it'll give you an idea. But it's an interesting thing, because I used to get heartburn a lot, and I was taking Prevacid for years and years and years. And it wasn't until I stopped it and stayed off of it that it actually went away. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. I did want to touch on diabetes. It is my specialty and my passion, and diabetics are the highest risk of these deficiencies, because unfortunately they're often prescribed this cocktail of drugs. So remember, eating a diet high in fiber, low in starch, grains, eliminate those processed foods. Some of these things are going to get you where you need to be anyway. So everybody have a wonderful night, and you can find me at leslieharrington.net or www.yourbloodsugarbootcamp.com. Have a great night. Thank you for joining me on Quality Living with Leslie, where we help you know better so you can do better to be the best version of yourself. For more information, you can find me at leslieharrington.net. That's leslieharrington.net. Have a great week. Now, go out and share the health.
The opinions